All right, perfect.
Okay, so Cyrus, I forgot to share the screen. I'm going to share the screen now, and let's do a first step on a quick learning on RTILA. So the objective of today is to scrape the startup directory of YCombinator and kind of reproduce what we have been doing in the AI automation program, mining the data, storing it in Directus, and then as a next step, enriching the data, correcting it, and then later on we can see how you can monetize such a database. Is that a correct assumption?
Sounds good. Let's
Okay.
jump in.
Okay, let's do it. So I launch Artila. Oh, so yes, another thing is that we're going to use RTILA V7 because RTILA V7 still has the advanced custom commands. The V8 is not yet ready with the custom commands, so I'm going to use the V7, V7.1. There we
And
go.
when would I use V8 right now?
So V8 you can use it for simple web scraping that do not have too many paginations and stuff, and you don't want to bother with the CSS selectors. So that's what V8 is very much oriented in terms of web scraping assisted with AI. But some websites they require more than just web scraping. They require like pagination, login, and so on. And for
Right.
that, the V7 still has much more commands. But we will be porting all these commands that we have in V7. They will be available in the V8. Every week we add something. Every 2 weeks we add something to the V8. But at this moment and until the end of 2026, we will still support the V7 because it's used by many customers. Yeah. So on V7 here, do you see my screen?
I do.
Cool. So let's pick up the URL of YCombinator here. So I'm just gonna copy it, and this will be my starting URL when I create a new project here. Quick start, and then let's call it YCombinator Startup Directory. And good practice, let's call it V0.1 because we will do a lot of iterations. Yeah. And here I put the URL that I want to RTILA to start on, or you can start with google.com and then visit the page, but this is a shortcut. We go straight to the slash companies directory URL. So I launch it. I'm gonna minimize our video here, and
And
here,
this is
yeah,
you're doing this on Edge, right?
exactly, yes. I'm doing this on Edge because V7 has an issue with Chrome. So this is using Edge indeed, Edge or Brave, but Edge works better. So then you click the icon that is, if you miss it, you can come back here and click the extension icon because RTILA is hosted within the browser in the side panel. And here you have two tabs in the side panel. You have the inspection mode. The inspection mode allows you to grab the data of a specific field, yeah. And then the automation mode will allow you to use different commands, like for example a wait command or anything. If I add it just to create the automation command here. So this is where we will do the actions, the click actions, the mouse actions, the keyboard actions. They will be all in the automation tabs. When it comes to capturing the data, and if you want it to be captured and saved into CSV, that's where we use the inspection side of this section, yeah, of this interface. But before we do that, we also need to adapt to where we're going to host the data, and I think you want to push this data to your Directus instance, right?
Yeah. Do you have the logins for that?
Yes, I do have, and also I can go to the URL if I remember correctly. So I'm gonna prepare my credentials. So I think I created a user for myself so that we know that it's me who is doing some. Oh, no app access. So maybe you change the user. Can you give me access to my email, please?
I don't think I
Or shall
did
I
change
log in
it.
with the admin, with your main
Well, hold
admin?
on. Yeah, I can probably give you access. You will.
Yes, I don't have another access, so I will need that.
Can you drop the your email in the chat?
Yes, of course. Here. If you can assign me, how you call it, admin policy and admin rights, so that we can use RTILA without any limitations. I will cut out this session.
Yeah.
Do you see me as a user, or maybe I don't even have? I should have a user because it says is
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was adding you as a user and it said the email has to be unique. So then I was looking at it and you are a user, but you didn't
yes,
have a role assigned. So
exactly. Yeah,
I just I just assigned that. So now you should try it and
yes, I'll try right
um,
now.
although I can't see the password, so I don't know what your
No, it's
password
good.
is.
Now I'm in. So
Oh,
yeah, perfect. I'm in. Okay. So now that we are connected to Directus, I can also explain we have a methodology or a framework on how do you scrape big websites, because for Y Combinators there are over 5,000 companies. So what happens is that when you do web scraping, when you scrape just like a single page or 10 pages or 100 pages, if for example there is 1% chances of something going wrong, you will not really notice it. But then 10,000 pages to scrape, even a 1% risk of error becomes 10 times. That means that your automation may stop 10 times. Yeah, and that
mhm.
becomes annoying. So, and this is kind of natural. The more you have pages to load, and the more you're prone to have a small connectivity error, overload of the RAM, overload of the CPU, or the website blocking something. So what we propose is that we use either a Google Sheet or a Directus instance to organize your scrapping. And this is why we create sources. And then once we create sources, we catch the paginations, and then we catch the single items URLs, and we do this preparation work before we scrape the actual data that we want, because we want the companies, organizations data and the people data. But before doing that, if you want to acquire the resume capacity, then you need to prepare this section here. Yeah. So let me do it the way that we do in the program. So I'm going to create a new source, and the source is called YCombinator. And what kind of source? It's a directory. So this helps us also to organize all our scrapping projects. And this is the source URL. Status is to do. I'm gonna work for it. How is the accessibility? It's public info. There is no logging wall, no paywall. So this way my team will know what's going on. How many total entries that we are looking at? It's 5,000 plus. Total total pages 5,000. And hourly threshold, this is also we do in case you don't want to go above the threshold of a given website. So for Y Combinator, I didn't see any threshold, so I think we can do 5,000 per hour. Um, and here we will have the link to the pagination and the single items, and then the people and the companies will come all in this part of the information. You can also assign a logo or a screenshot of the source. So I'm just gonna download the Y Combinator logo here, put it in my downloads folder. It's called download image. Okay, let's click and get this. Did it work? Yeah, that's the Y Combinator. So now I have Y Combinator as a source. So far, are we good?
Yeah.
Yes, and just for the style and ease of view, I'm gonna also display the screenshot thumbnail here. So this way I also have like a quick visual identification of my source. So I created my source that I want to scrape, and I have my basic data. For example, here I know how many URLs we have, total entries. We have 5,000. So I know that I have this objective for this source. Yeah. Now
Hmm.
the next step is, before you start scrapping, you need to observe the website. Because we're going to go through 5,000 companies and get their data, you need to study. The most important to study is the pagination. And you can see here, it says that showing 40 out of 1,000 plus. So let me, as a user, before automating, I scroll down, and then I notice here, you see here, there is what is called an unlimited scroll and display. You see, as I
Hmm.
scroll, it displays more data, and I scroll and I scroll, and so it's an infinite scroll. Yeah. So
Hmm.
this is the first challenge that we need to deal with. We would need to go all the way down, and let's see if I can reproduce it manually, because sometimes they will limit to 1,000. Even if you scroll down all the way down, they may not display the 5,000 companies. They may only display 1,000. So let's test to see how they have organized their directory. So this looks like I reached the bottom of it. I'm gonna move my recording menu here, and let's see now how many we have. Yeah, so that's what I was expecting. It will limit it to 1,000, which is a way to block scrapping. Yeah.
Right. just,
So
just to
that
make our lives hard.
yeah, it's a smart way to limit you. You get 1,000, but that's it.
Right.
Meaning that I will not get the 5,000 using the scroll. So we have to find a different approach. Yeah. But
Hmm.
here I had all batches, which is 5,432. So by the way, 5,432, that should be my number. 5,432. 432, that's the actual right number. So now, just by observing, we need to break down into sub-1,000 categories without missing some companies. Yeah. So let's see all the options we have here. We can filter by batch, the fall of 2025, which is the recent batch. They only have 22, but you can see, but per batch they have between 90 and 100 and maybe 200, 250. You see. So,
Hmm.
but that will mean that I need to go through like all of the batches, yeah, one by one. And I know that every single batch, none of them will go over 1,000. Let's look at it. You see here, all the batches. There is not a single batch where they had more than 1,000 companies, which is good for us because we will not be limited by this maximum 1,000 display rule. So this is one way, which means that we should cycle through every batch, and there are 2 batches per year. There is another approach which is by category, but then you see the B2B category has more than 1,000, so I will be missing 1,700. Yeah. So
Hmm.
do you see the mental process that I'm going through
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
make sure that I can get everything? If I do by country, it's not good as well, because just US and Canada, I will get only 1,000 out of the 3,008, and the remote I will also only get a third of them. By company size, I don't know. By type of application, we are not getting the 5,000. So from this initial investigation, the only way to have systematically all the companies without going over 1,000 is to create a loop to go through every batch. Yeah.
Hmm.
So then I should, let's say, if I do fall 25, yeah, it will display. So I need to create a loop that will come, click this, then click this, and click. So basically, what we need to do is that we need to click one batch, and then before we go to the next batch, we need to unclick the former batch. You see what I mean in terms of click actions?
Yeah.
And also
So,
here,
what
yeah,
is there anything you can do if you don't have that sidebar?
yeah. If you pay attention to the URL, you see the URL on the top there.
Hmm.
So it's coded here. It's coded. So every batch has a dedicated URL. Winter 2020-25, and then fall, it will be fall 2020-25. So it alternates between fall, winter, spring, summer. There are 4 batches per year, and then there is the year. You see what I mean? So this could allow us to generate all the URLs, yeah? But let's see if we can find a better way, because if we could look at the, so this is not a very easy website to scrape. So I go into the inspection. I just want to see here if they allocate any URL. No, you see they don't put the URL, so it's harder. Um, let's try a few things. Actually, I did this a couple of weeks, a couple of months ago. And now I don't really remember how I managed to get all the batches, but it was it was something around this. Worst case scenario, we do this manually and we don't waste time because it's actually not worth automating it. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to open a new a text, not text, or how you call it, notepad, and I'm going to do it the hardcore way for now, just to reduce our complexity and just to prove the approach. And maybe we don't have to do everything for today. That can be your homework to apply the same logic to all the batches, yeah? So I
Mhm.
just want the
Baby
fall
steps.
2025. Yeah, sorry, Cyrus?
You said baby steps.
Baby steps, yeah. So look, I'll do just like this. This is for fall 2025, and then summer, and then I go one by one. And this actually sometimes is much faster than trying to do a very complicated loop that clicks on every thing. Plus, they have some kind of protections that we need to go through. So maybe let's do like about 10 of them, yeah.
Mhm.
And then summer 24, but I don't want the fall, so that we don't get duplicates. And winter 2024. Okay, summer 2023 without winter.
But for most sites, it's usually a little easier because it has the pagination right at the bottom.
Exactly, yeah. Other websites are much easier actually in terms of pagination. It's much easier. So this is rather it has some parts are more complex on this website, and some other parts are more easy.
Mm.
So let's stop. Where am I now? 2022. So we're just doing 2022, 23, 24, and 25. Yeah. So how many we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's enough for our exercise. Yeah. So
Yeah.
these are actually the pagination URLs. Yeah. So what I can do
Mhm.
now is that the source pagination URLs, I can create them and I can import them through a CSV. And basically this is actually a CSV. So if I just create a first pagination URL, for example, page 1, I just want to see the structure uh, on how to create the CSV file so that I can import it. And then here in source, I'm going to select YCombinator as a source. So I created one entry in Directus, and I'm going to export it to get the CSV format. So let's export this. And here, name, pagination status. All right, let's export. Now I have this CSV file. I'm going to open it on my IDE programming. So I can see here there is name, pagination URL, status, and so on. But it's not very user friendly for us in terms of visual aspects. So I'm going to open it on Google Sheet. So I'm going to create a new sheet. So I'm going to call it YC paginations. If this is too complicated, we can do another website if you want. Or is this
No,
okay still?
this works for me.
Yes, because you
I
need,
think I think
yeah,
I think it's a little different than most websites, but I think that's okay because it's still a lot of the fundamentals. So
exactly. And also it kind of introduces some complexity that we can address together. So I'm going to
right.
import that CSV sample into Google Sheets so that we can view what we have. So this is what I exported from Directus. So I'm going to replace append to current sheet. That's the safest. Okay, so here we see our table, yeah? The
Yep.
ID is the ID of the entry. I don't need it because it will be generated automatically by Directus. So I can delete this column. User created, they will also, all this will be automatically created. So I delete. What I want is, I don't need the sorting for now. Pagination total, we can deal with it later. So what I need to, the status will be automatically draft. So we need to feed three things: the name, and then the source. And the source ID is number one for Y Combinator. Yeah.
Hey, that's
So
pretty straightforward.
yes, and even I can do without the name, I think, or we could use the URL as a name as well. But ideally, I should put winter 2022 here as a name. So let's import now the CSV that we have. So if I import, or even no need to import, actually I can do it manually. If I take all these 10 URLs here and I just throw them here, yeah. So I can just remove the first row. Now these are all the URLs I caught manually, yeah. And if you're lazy, you can just leave the name empty. If not, we should do like this: fall 2025, summer 2025, spring, and then you keep this how you call it, this syntax. If
So
you want it,
we're doing this manually, but you're saying that usually you just create a loop for this first step to
that's
get
right.
the
Yeah,
URLs.
that's
But
right.
YC was being kind of a pain about it.
So I also want to highlight that sometimes what we are doing right now is taking, it looks like it's taking us a lot of time. It may take us 10 or 15 minutes, yeah, or maybe even half an hour, but it's actually worth it in many instances. And I will just finish this just to force myself with this discipline, because I want the data, even if it's a little bit of data, we want it to look good in our example, yeah. So
Yeah.
this is, and then winter. And in another session, we can actually do this in an automated way by getting the name of every batch. Yeah, but this is enough for us to start. And the source is one, which is the source ID of Y Combinator in my Directus. And just for the record, when I go to Directus here, and you see here in sources, source name, I can also pull and display the ID. Here the ID. So the ID is number one. This is source number one, and it is the ID that you need to put to create the relationship. Yeah. So now that I have this, I can just save it as a CSV, and Directus will import the data if you're using the exact field name here. That's why I exported the CSV, so that I'm sure that I'm using the right field names. So now I can download this as a CSV. And also here, Cyrus, I'm trying to use RTILA just for where RTILA can be powerful and most cost efficient, because I saw that Directus has an import export. So let me just use this instead of creating a project, especially if I'm not going to do this every week. So
Right.
this is my CSV file, and then I start the import, and boom.
So actually,
Yeah.
that's a good question. So
Yes.
there's um there's Directus, there's V7 and V8, right? So
Yeah.
V8 is more hands off because it's more integrated with AI,
Yes.
and you're going to be working on that over the next year. It's
Yes.
still being worked on.
Yes.
And V7 is for when there's more like weeds to kind of sort through.
That's
But
right.
like, what kind of projects would you say are the best for RTILA to be used, as opposed to like other tools like N8N, right?
Yes.
Where does this fit?
Well, usually our strong point is to do complicated web scraping, because a lot of the other tools are very good at other types of automations and integrations. But Artila, we have always been like very granular on catching the data from the web and then transforming it and pushing it wherever you need to have it for
Yeah.
your next for the next steps of your flow. So what we are doing here is actually what is difficult to do with other automation tools as well, because you see that the way that they build the website is not very straightforward. So many tools will
Yeah.
have the same problem and they will stop at 1000 because
Right.
yeah.
I guess for me, I had this like amorphous idea of what Rotilla was for because it was kind of like data related.
Yeah.
But you're saying it's very much about like direct page, direct on the page data.
Yeah, that's the first strength of RTILA is capturing complicated web data, especially when they don't have an API. For example, Zapier, they will not cover this because there is no API for the startup directory of YCombinator.
Right.
Yeah, so you have to
Right.
use the
Good.
web. Yeah, and again, because it has its own little complexities, then RTILA will be able to scrape almost any directory, even if there is no not much logic in the way they do the pagination and stuff. And then with our program, what we're working on is to push to include RTILA within an ecosystem that allows you guys to leverage more of the data, to give more value to your data that you've scrapping from the web. And that's where we come and we enhance with either local PDF files, images, and so on. And we add the AI layer, and then we enrich the data. Yeah? Does it make a little bit of sense this way?
Absolutely. Absolutely. For sure.
Cool. So I'm doing some mistakes, and let's. So instead of importing the pagination items, I imported them as sources. So of course it didn't match, yeah. So I need to delete the wrong import here, and I may have used. So let's import them here. So I'm gonna import my CSV. Start import. There was an error. I didn't duplicate value detected. So I think maybe this is the one here. So let's import again. Okay, you see what happened? Oh, it was too fast.
No, that's good. That's good.
Yes. So we got it, and then we also want to display the. We want to make sure that the source ID one, so that now we have everything we need to start. Yeah. This we don't need for now. Okay. So now that I have my paginations in Directus, I can use RTILA and go to each pagination, and out of each pagination get the source listing items of each company. So let me show you. For example, we will use RTILA to pull. You don't have permission to access field in collection. Okay, I know what is this. We can sort it out later. It's a field name. We renamed the field, and Directus is giving us a warning. So what we are going to do now, Cyrus, is that RTILA will connect to your Directus database. We look for all the pagination items URLs that have status draft. Draft, that means that they have not been scraped yet. And then we will scrape their listings and then put it in as done, as we finished. So we will open each pagination page, and then we will get how many ever there is companies here. We will scroll all the way down and get all these companies, yeah, and link them to fall 2025. Yeah. So that's what we're going to do. Now, I realize it's actually a high complexity level because we're using a complex directory and we're using Directus. But you're familiar with Directus already. Those who are not familiar with Directus, please watch some Directus videos first before this one. Shall I start with the Directus side now that we covered the pagination?
What do you
Cyrus?
mean?
Yes. So I just did all this introduction to show how best to prepare to scrape this website by
Right.
creating the pagination items. So if everything is it clear to you now, the
Yeah. Yeah.
approach?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I mean, I think there was a step skip with the loop thing to pull the pagination right into Directus,
Yes,
but that's just because of the website structure, right?
that's right.
Um,
And that will take more time to explain, but we can explain it in another session.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there is a way
Yeah.
to do it. It requires a little bit more background knowledge. But let's try to get some data into your Directus because that's where also you keep your motivation up when
Yeah.
and you can and you can do it with
Sounds good.
you can as soon as you can do even like 5% of the database and you look at it, you can also start to experiment as a businessman, as a business person. Is this the right thing to scrape? Am I missing something? Should I add something right now? It will. You don't have to scrape everything from on day one because you may make a lot of mistakes and then have to scrape again. So that's why I usually try to find the shortest way to get like 10% of the database acquired, and then we train and we optimize on that 10%, and then we do the full scrapping. So that's let's say the good practices that we have developed.
Yeah, yeah, and I remember you touched on this once in one of the AIA meetings, but what are
Mhm.
your qualifications for a good source again?
So we have a Google Sheet. There are two ways of evaluating a source. Maybe I can pull it off actually and show you, because we shared this in our program. Yeah. So I think we call
Yeah,
it sources AIA find sources. I saw it here. So we have this template for you to evaluate different sources. So here is mainly directories. So you assign a priority to a source depending on how many entries you have in that source and
so
how much.
for Y Combinator.
Yeah, so Y Combinator is a good it would be a priority one because there are more than 1,000. It's worth scrapping. And also you
Mm.
get business URL, you get business address, phone. There's no email in Y Combinator, but you see here you can say yes or no for what kind of data you can get. The more green you have, the more qualitative the source is. Because if on one directory you also have the people role, the people position, their social media, their email, and their phone number, then even if there are less than 1,000 or less than 2,000, because of the quality of the data that there is, then you can give it also priority number one, priority
Right.
level one. Yeah. So this is to avoid scrapping things that are actually not going to give you a lot of value. So here there's only 250 entries. There's not so much data for on people. It's not worth to even start the project. You know, you may almost copy and paste manually and go faster. Does this answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Excellent. So Y Combinator is definitely a priority one, even though there is this pagination difficulty. So now we're good. We have like our first level of preparation, and we have 11 pagination pages to go through, and every pagination page has between 20 and 100 companies. So we may end up with few hundred companies just with this first sets of with these first batches. Yeah. So let's go now to RTILA. And the first thing we need to do, because we are not scrapping directly from the directory right now, we are actually getting the data from Directus. So I'm going to add a new command, and I'm going to look for Directus, which is in the custom commands here. So you have to click on the custom tab, and then you use Directus API version 0.3, and we are improving this as we go. And let me show you now how you configure the Directus. So first, you need to the Directus command allows you to do different operations. So if you click here, it will open the sub menu of operations. You can read data from Directus, you can update, and you can create new data. What we want to do today is read the data, because we want to read inside your source pagination item table. We want to read all the pagination URLs that are still in draft, so that we go and grab their companies.
Mm.
Yeah, that's what we want to do. So the way that you configure is that you have to put first the URL, and the URL is your source URL slash items slash the table name. Here the table name, but it's instead of admin content, it will be slash items. So what I will do now is I take your base Directus URL, I paste it, and then I add items slash. Items means the collection that you're targeting. And then you need to get the collection name, and the collection name is usually the slug here that you have of that collection. Yeah. So I'm gonna add this now. This is the API endpoint. So I'm gonna use a bearer token, and I need to get a token for myself from your Directus. So the way to get a token from Directus is that you go here into settings. Sorry, when you are a user, so if you're not a super admin user, you go into your user profile, and then you scroll down to the bottom, and you can generate an API token. So this is the way that you secure access to your data. So here I'm going to generate the token, copy it, make sure you save it, otherwise it will not be there. And now I will add it here in RTILA, and this will allow me to connect to Directus and get the data. Yeah. So this is enough for configuring Directus connectivity, and I want the data in a CSV format. So I can collapse the configuration, and now I want to read the data. And to read the data, you have here as a placeholder, we are using Directus filters, the official filters. So you can refer to Directus documentation, but you can see here the way that you do is that you put the filter name, for example, status. So let me show you here.
I actually need to go to one of those. Directus has weekly Q&A calls. I
Yes,
really
yeah,
need to go to one of those because I got stuck on filters for a while, and I need to I
it
really
is.
want to get the
Yeah,
optimization.
no, it is
Super
not
great.
that easy. So if I follow their documentation here, filter and then by status, and then you put rectangular bracket underscore EQ for equal, and then I want all those that have draft. Yeah. So let's try first because I can do Control Shift J, Control Shift J. Yeah, that will open the console. I want to see if I am able to connect to your directors first, yes or no. So I'm going to run this command now, and you can see here that authorization we are in, maximum results, my filter is correct, and I got the results. You see here I'm getting all the data of the 11 records. That means that number one, my API key is working, my how you call it endpoint is correct. Second, I am able to read, but I didn't filter, I didn't say what I want because here I'm getting everything about every record. Yeah. But
Hmm.
what I want is not everything. I just want the URL. So the URL, then I can specify what is the field name. So let's go and
Yeah.
grab. Yeah.
So wait, can you go back for a second?
Yes, of course. Here,
Yeah. Can you scroll up again? You
scroll up.
used
Yeah.
filter status equal draft. Yeah.
Yes.
So we should probably do something with filters for like documentation.
Yes,
To
definitely. Yes. So this is all the ways that you can combine and use filters. But yes, we will prepare kind of a synthesized summary of how to use filters with Directus. Yeah.
yeah.
But one,
Yeah, that'd be
most
super helpful for
most
me.
of the time, this is actually once you have this syntax, it's easy to go now, because now,
Yeah, if once you have it, but like if you have to
yeah,
like kind of guess, it's like such a pain.
it is painful, yes. But for the use case of RTILA, we often always use filter, and then here you just replace with the field that you're targeting, and then you have equal or contains or n contains. So Directus has different ways to say
Right.
whether it contains something or not. You see here we put the URL of all the filter rules, but you're right. We will
Yeah.
prepare something for our community.
And just to be clear, so in the configuration, you specified the table, and then in this
Yes,
filter is working for draft, but that's only in that particular table. That's why
exactly.
it
Yeah,
works.
you have to target the table, a collection. Once you target the collection, within that collection, you target a specific field, and in this collection, the status field has a small s. You see, because sometimes
Hmm.
we put a big S, then you have to respect the how you call it in English, the caps. Yeah,
Capitalization.
yeah, capization. So now I respected everything. Now what I want to do is that I don't want to get back all the data with the unique ID, the status, the image ID, and so on, and the dates. I just want this URL because this is what I want to feed to the next RTILA command to go to this URL and actually
Mhm.
scrape its content. Yeah.
Right.
So so I need to target the field that contains the URL. So I need to know the field name. So that's where you go back to your settings here, data model, and you go to source pagination item. That's where we are reading data, and this is where the URL is. It's inside this field called pagination URL. So you see this pagination URL, I copy it, that's the field name, and I go back to RTILA and I say return these fields, and now I copy exactly the field that I want, and I only want this field. So now I save and I run again the command, and I'm getting just the URLs you see here, clean. So I can
Yeah,
feed
that's
these
really powerful.
URLs. Yeah.
I was just saying that's really powerful in
Yes.
RTILA.
So you can filter and then just get what you want to feed to the next step of RTILA, command. So now I don't need to clean up the data. This data, the go to URL command from RTILA can go for it. Yeah. So this is step one, getting the data from Directus. Yeah. Let me show you something now, just to understand the way that we are doing. In your pagination URLs, let's say this URL now. So let's solve this. Item underscore name in collection source listing. You don't have permission to access field item name. Okay, so item
Oh
name.
yeah, I kept seeing that too before.
Yes, this
I don't know what
means I think I know what it is.
it was weird because it didn't seem to really restrict anything.
No, it's a warning. This happens when you delete a field and it's still looking for it so directors they have their own cache. Let me try to reproduce this again. So you don't have permission to access field item name in source listing item. Source listing item, and the field name is called item underscore name. So source listing item. Okay. So in source listing item, oh, I know. So in source listing item, instead of name, it was actually it was actually using another field name. So let us recreate that missing field. I think we changed something from the original field name here. You see, it was called item underscore name. So let's recreate this. And now,
But something's referencing it.
sorry.
But something's referencing item underscore
Exactly,
name instead of
something
the
is
name.
referencing it. So let's keep it. Let's keep both for now, and this now will solve our problem. So if I go to source pagination and I click, we're good. Yeah. So this is peculiar to Directus when you change field names, but you have all data that reference that old field name. And I think you've
Right.
been experimenting, or I have been experimenting with your instance, and
Yeah,
we
I
did that.
mean that was probably me at some point, but
No worries. So this is how we solve it. We just recreate that field, and then we are good. So
it is a good reminder though how like important the schema is to deal
exactly.
with first.
And once you have a schema, like do not change again the field names. It's better to add a new field name and keep the old field name so that you don't mess up the old data sets. So it
Yeah.
forces you to have a good practice with your data actually. These rules that directors have.
Yeah.
I wanted to show you something. You see, we have 11 URLs, but let's say now this one is done. So I updated status to done. Yeah. So they're all draft, and the last one is done. Now we only have 10. So if I
Hmm.
go back to RTILA, it was pulling 11 records that are draft. If I now run
Hmm.
the command, I will only get the 10 records remaining. And this is exactly how we deal with complex and long scrapping projects, is that we avoid rescrapping and rescrapping, because even if the project failed but it scraped 100 pages, all those 100 pages we updated the status and we know that we got their data. So this gets a lot of frustration for people who are scrapping more than 1,000 rows of data set. You need this kind of organization, and that's why we invested a lot of time in our program to use Directus. But you can use also Google Sheet or any other form of database. But you got the point, yeah?
Yeah.
This will allow us to go through all of them. So I'm going to mark it again as draft. It was just for the example. Okay, good. So next step now. Now we know that we are getting in a CSV format, one per line. We're getting all the batch, which is the pagination URLs. So this command name will now hold as a value the 11 URLs. So let's do it again. Now there are 11 URLs. So I'm going to copy this variable name and I'm going to use it in my next command. Yeah. So let me show you now. I'm going to feed it to a list command, and I will explain why we need a list command. This is one of the most important commands, Cyrus, in RTILA, especially when you deal with a lot of data. And it's also we need more documentation about it. Yeah. But the list command is a loop that you can configure manually or import from a file, and it's a loop that will go through the data you have one line at a time. But right now, I'm not going to copy manually here these 10 URLs. I'm going to use our syntax, which is curly bracket. I paste So sorry, I should not paste item name. I want to paste. Oh, is it item name? Oh
You
yeah,
changed it from
yeah, I made a
Directus.
mistake. I changed it. It was Directus, so instead of copy, I did paste. Let's do it again. So I'm gonna copy this. This is the command name, and I'm gonna call its value inside our syntax curly curly bracket. So now what this will essentially do is that RTILA will see the curly curly brackets, and then we'll look at what is the variable name, and then we'll pull the current value contained in Directus API v03, which is the 11 URLs, and it will put the 11 URLs one per line. Yeah. So essentially, it will actually reproduce. Let me show you a better way to do this. It will actually reproduce once this is expressed by RTILA. It will dynamically be changed to this. So now the list will go through these 11 URLs as a loop. Yeah. It will be replaced by RTILA. Does it make sense so far here?
Yeah, can you run that one more time?
Yes. So when we run this command, the Directus command, the Directus command is acquiring 11 rows of data, with
Yeah,
each row has one of our pagination URLs.
right.
Now, these 11 rows of data is exactly the same as what I would have in a text file like this. Exactly the same.
Hmm.
One URL per line. So now this variable, this RTILA variable called Directus API v03, has in its memory 11 URLs, one per line. Yeah?
Right.
It's in there, in the memory of RTILA and the browser. So what I do is that to dynamically pass the content of this command to another command, we have this syntax, which is curly curly bracket, and in
Hmm.
between the double curly brackets, so I put too many, you put the variable name. And this is a substitution rule. Whatever is in between double curly brackets is a variable name, and then RTILA will substitute the variable name with the variable content. And the variable content is the 11 URL, one per line.
Right. So is there any, there's no limits on how many variables you can use?
No, you can have 2,000 in there, you can have 10,000 URLs. Whatever your command or your variable acquired earlier will be transferred here. Yeah. So
Okay,
it's
good.
a good question, Cyrus. On paper, you could have 1 million rows of data, but in practical, the browser has memory limitations. So you cannot uphold in RAM in a browser a million URL. It will take too much space in the memory. So usually you do it by 1,000 or 2,000, and if it's more than 2,000, yeah,
Hmm.
then better you import from a file, and then you can have files with 5,000, 10,000, 100,000 URLs, because file doesn't occupy the memory of the browser, so you will not get the critical error of full RAM memory. Yeah, but
I
for
see.
the
Yeah,
ease, yeah,
that's a good note.
yes. So let's say up to 5,000, 3,000, it can hold inside the RAM memory of the browser. But beyond 5,000, it's better to pull from a file. Or you see here in Directus, I can limit how many URLs I get. So minus one means all the results. But I can say, look, I don't want all the results. I just want the next 10. And I do loop of 10. So you see now, or let's say now, I want 7. I do 7 at a time. So when I do now 7 and I run it, Directus will return me only 7 records. So you can also manage your threshold of data from the command that actually acquires the data, and then you just do more cycles of it. So this way,
When you pull seven though, it's not random, right? It just pulls the first seven.
the first 7 by date, yeah. So it takes the first
Yeah,
7 who were created first, and then once we deal with them, there are no more draft. It will get the next 7 draft, until everything is finished.
makes sense.
So to go to that point, that means that I could create a loop, yeah. I could
Hmm.
create a loop, and let's do an infinite loop for now. That infinitely, it will get 7 records, feed them to the list, scrap the data, come back, get the next 7 records, feed them to the list, scrap the data, come back, and do 7 by 7, yeah, or 10 by 10. This is just for our learning. I'm going to do 10 by 10 because that's good enough for us. So let's continue. I will remove the loop for now because the loop will introduce another knowledge we will cover, because you need to know how to break the loop, and we have that in our course with Middlesex University. We covered it, so we will link to how to create a loop and how to break a loop. We will link to another video to understand this part. So let's do our one-time scrapping with 10 URLs. Yeah. So now you got it. The variable name will have the 10 URLs. The 10 URLs are transferred through this syntax of substitution. Yeah. And now what is important, Cyrus, is that the list is now our loop. It's going to loop through all the URLs one by one. So inside the list, I need to put my go to URL. So go to URL is a command. So I go to here, new command. I look for go to URL. I add the command. But if I feed now the list name, so if I do this, if I feed the list using our substitution curly bracket, now the current list value will be fed to the go to URL. That means that the first URL among the 10 on the first cycle will be fed to go to URL. Yeah. So, but if I run this now, it will only run one time because I haven't nested the go to URL inside the list. And this is very important, the concept of nesting, because the list is a loop. For the commands to express within that loop, you need to nest them inside the list. So now it will do go to URL. The current URL that is coming from the list will be the first one, winter 2022. On the second cycle, it will load summer 2022. On the third cycle,
So,
and
so
so
with
on.
nesting, you don't have to like necessarily put an actual command for loop. If
Exactly,
you,
yes. So the loop is already created by the list, and every row of data is a cycle in the loop. So we will have 10 URLs, therefore this will run 10 times, yeah? And on every run, it will serve the current row. First row, second turn, it will feed the second URL and so on, yeah? So these are the two concepts that are very important, a loop and nesting. So let's experience this. What we will do now is that we just do this, and then inside the go to URL, I'm going to add a waiting time so that we can see the URL actually being displayed. So let's wait just 5 seconds. So you see now this is the, how you say in English, indented, indented. There is like a décalage in French. There is like an indentation. So this is a good practice because it shows me the depth of my flow. So I have my first loop, and in this loop, I go to the URL and I will load the current list URL. And then for every URL I load, I'm going to wait 5 seconds. That's what it means here. Once I finish waiting the 5 seconds, I go back to the list. We get the second row. The second row URL is fed to go to URL. And for that second row URL, we wait another 5 seconds, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So let's review this, you and me. So here I have a waiting time of 3 seconds. Okay, we can keep it, no problem. So we launch the project. It will wait 3 seconds. It will launch the Directus command, which will get us the 10 URLs. Then the 10 URLs are fed into the list using the variable name inside our syntax, curly bracket. This is the same syntax used by MailChimp. You know when you want to say dear first name in
right.
MailChimp? So you're using the same. It's like curly bracket, and then first name is the variable name.
Right.
Yeah. So we're using the same syntax. So now I'm feeding the results I get from Directus into the list, and then I'm feeding the list value to the go to URL, and now I'm cascading my data. Each command is getting the data that it's supposed to deal with at the right time. Yeah. So let's run this as a first step, and this is already an automation actually. Yeah, it's going to paginate through the 10 URLs. So let's launch it, and also I'm going to open the Control Shift J so that we can see what is happening on the side. So you're going to see here we're going to get the data from Directus. So now we're waiting 3 seconds. Oh, you see the 10 URLs from Directus. Now they're fed to the list. Now this is going to winter 2022, you see? Winter 2022. It's going to wait 5 seconds, and then it's going to go to the next batch. You see now it's summer 2022. and then it's going to wait 5 seconds, and then go to the next batch. So we have essentially created our pagination loop. This is now winter 2023, and then it will
Yeah.
do, and so on. Yeah. So let's wait just two of them to see that we get to the year 2022. This is summer 2023. And winter 2024. So I think it's going through the cycle, you see,
Yeah.
winter 2024. So our loop is working, and is working dynamically by pulling the data from Directus, and it's only pulling the URLs that have not been dealt with, which are the URLs that are status draft. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so what we have done today, although it's a little bit difficult, but it's actually the very good work practice, because we're scrapping in a smart way, in a dynamic way, and we're avoiding double scrapping, especially when a scrapping gets a mistake. We can resume without losing and confusing our data. So once you have the loop organized, now what we need to do is that we need to actually capture the data. Yeah. So
Yeah.
for example, if we are on the fall 2025 pagination URL, so I'm going to load it here for us to see. We
And
will
you're
have,
right. I
yep,
mean, this does seem like a lot of work, but I mean, if there was like hundreds of pages, that
yes,
foundation with like what, 5 commands,
yeah,
super, super powerful.
it is, yes, and it avoids a lot of frustration, because sometimes you develop the automation too fast, so you think that everything is good, in theory it's working, but then it takes you 10 hours to actually finish the scrapping, because it fails and you don't know where you are, and you messed up, and you have 20 URLs here and 50 here, and you don't know to which pagination they belong. You don't know where to resume, you know.
Right.
So you can go without this good practice, for, I would say, just a few hundred pages. Let's say you're scrapping 100 page or 200 page website. You can do without this preparation work. But as soon as you break into the thousands, you better use it. If you have 10,000 URLs or 100,000 URLs, you will not be able to finish the scrapping without this approach. Yeah.
Good to know. Yeah.
Okay. So now that we are cycling through our pagination URLs, we want to get the URL of every company name here. So we're not yet scrapping the company data, because here is just a summary. Yeah. But what
Hmm.
we want, the most important, is I want this URL of every company. Now this is the actual listing URL of a given company, and this is what we need to capture next, because in your Directus here, our database schema, once we get the pagination items, now we need the listing items of every pagination URL. Yeah, to finish
Hmm.
our organization.
Yeah, we should. Okay, so another thing I've been thinking about is like,
Yes.
um, so there's the schema in Directus, which
Yes.
obviously not everyone will have, but like there's the schema in Directus,
Yep.
which kind of reflects this a little bit. But what I was noticing is that the commands
Mm-hmm.
have different, like, how do I put this? Like domains of hierarchy for the data,
Yep.
right? So like there's um, I think the schema definitely helps, but like in the sidebar here,
Mm-hmm.
trying to remember like uh, first you have the page or like you have the URL of the site to begin with, right?
Yes.
And then you have the sub pages of the that
The paginations.
have all of the pages of the listings, right? And
Yes.
then you have the listings themselves, and then
That's
of the
right.
listings you have the company data, right? So there's a
Exactly.
hierarchy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, And I think for me, what I'm thinking about is like some sort of visual aid for that. I
Ah,
think
yeah,
would be
yeah,
good.
yeah. Yeah, you're right. We can do that. Yes. Yeah, we can do that, because this hierarchy works for 80% of the websites. Most of the websites,
Right.
they use what the hierarchy we've built, but also the reason
It's
why
also
this,
dynamic,
and
you
it's
know, but
dynamic. Yeah, but also the way we've built this you see this schema that we've built for the program, we've built it for agency mode, because as an agency you will scrape from so many sources for your clients. So that's why there is a higher level of complexity, because we prepare this schema for agencies basically. And as an agency,
Right.
you need like much more data tables to follow up for your clients by source and so on. So that's why it looks a little bit more complicated than a self use scrapping, let's say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
for sure. I
yeah,
mean, I was just, I think, yeah, I think visual aids for the hierarchies of data would be useful,
yeah,
or
we
some
will
sort of
prepare.
material schema.
Maybe we'll prepare some slides for that.
Yeah, just a quick note.
Yes, sure. Let's go back now. Now we want to grab all the URLs that appear for fall 2025 or whichever URL we've loaded. So we only need to do one thing here. Uh, so no, sorry. Now what we need to do is, let me think. Um, there are different ways to do this.
So, okay, actually, this is a
Yeah.
good point because, like, for me, my immediate reaction would be like, we need to, like, it has the loop that goes to each of these pages, right? So
Yeah.
then next thing would be to make a loop to click on each of them,
Exactly. But
pull,
that's
grab
that.
the
Yeah.
URL, and then click out to then go to the next one.
So that's the normal way of doing it. But because of our strategy, we need another intermediary step. So instead of we don't click right now on this URL to get the data. If you follow our strategy, we first need to get the pagination item URL. So sorry, for every pagination item URL, we need to get the source listing item, and I will explain you why. It's
Right.
very useful because if you click here and you just get the company data and you don't save the listing URL, then later on when you want to update your data, you will not have this URL to go back and see if there is something changed, like the team size, or
No,
so
yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking. So what I was thinking was like my natural reaction to this next step would be to
e-
click on them, like create
exactly,
a loop, go and click on them,
exactly.
but just to grab the URL.
Yes, so that's the natural inclination, but let's say the professional or the long-term inclination is to finish the mapping. So basically what we're doing now is we're mapping the paginations and we're mapping the listing URLs before we even scrape. So we're
Yeah,
delaying the scraping because of this organizational schema. Yeah.
right.
So let's continue on that, and then soon we are reaching now the data itself. But what we want to do, yeah, what we want to do is to grab the company listing URL. So not yet the company data, because here source listing URL. So let's look at what field we have. We have item name. Now we have two. We have item name and name, and then we
Right.
have source item URL. This is exactly what I want to catch here, the listing of that company in that directory, and then we want to link to the source, which is YCombinator, and then later on we would relate an organization data to this listing URL. Yeah, so that's later on from the organization I can go back to its listing URL and pick up some new fresh data or something, and we will have a relationship between the two. Okay,
Mm.
so let's do that now. We have few ways of doing this. So first, we have a very powerful command that is complicated but very powerful. It's called Directus API batch. So Directus API batch is, instead of saving one company at a time and doing one API query for open role, one API query to save bare URL, we grab all the 22 in one go and save them in Directus in like 1 second. Yeah, that's the
Mm.
batch API that Directus has, which is very useful. So let's try to make it work. So first we need the endpoint, and the endpoint is, you know what I was telling you, it's slash items. So your Directus URL slash items slash the collection name. Now the collection name that we're working on is source listing item here, source listing item. So I'm going to talk to this table. Yeah, I'm going to talk to this table, source listing item. I'm going to use a bearer token. So let me make this a little bit bigger, and I'm going to just copy my token again, my API token of Directus here, and here this this command can grab data from CSS, but also can also grab data from CSV files and so on. I will show you later on. But right now, we need what we call a CSS collection, and this is again something a bit complicated. But for an automation system to go through every entity in this table, it needs to know what is the container. So you see this container that is here?
Hmm.
There is a container that contains all the data, and this is what is being repetitive in a table
And
format.
just
Yeah.
and just again, you're saying V8 is going to be stronger at this particular.
Not at this particular one because AI is not good at this yet. So AI is
Nice.
good at simple pagination, but this is pagination plus CSS collection. So sometimes the AI models get it, sometimes they don't get it. So I think we still have another 1 year that we
Oh,
need to
I
do
see.
it as humans. So
So
again,
this is where seven's better.
this is where 7 is a must. Yeah,
Okay. All right.
yeah.
Got it.
So, but this is because we want to go fast and we want to be precise. So we use the batch command. The batch command, it's like there is web scraping, consumer level, and then there is web scraping, industrial level. So when you start to work with batch, and this is what we're doing now, this is scrapping at an industrial level. So of course it's not the same machines, it requires more learning. So the learning curve and the precision is different than if it was just for a consumer level. One page, you scrap the one page and it's finished. So this is another level of complexity, but even if you don't understand fully right now, please understand the concept. So the concept that you need to understand for when you work with batch data is that for the batch of data, you need to recognize what is the main container that is repeating, and inside that container, you find all the target data, and the container will create like the loop, so that RTILA and Directus will know that I'm dealing with container 1, and then I'm dealing with container 2. Because this CSS name is called, for example, company name. Here also it's called company name. So if you scrape now company name, it will give you don't know which one you're getting, but you can say, for example, container, the first container, get me the company name. Then we move to second container, get me the company name, and this is how the data will be ordered in a proper way. Yeah. So that's what CSS collections allow us to do. They allow us to recognize the repeating block. You see, we put it here, the selector for the repeating block. So I'm gonna do it for now, and later on you can learn more about CSS. But if I go into the source code and I use this inspection here, and I try to click and see what is this container here, you see. So let's go back here. Okay, you see when I highlight in the code, source code, when I highlight this div, this is the container that contains all the companies. But if I highlight this A element, the A element only contains the company's data. So this is exactly the collection, the CSS collection. It's this element that contains the data of every company. You see it being highlighted differently?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this
Yeah.
is the container that I want. Now this container is an A element, and it has inside company. It has company Iona 355 something, yeah.
Hmm.
And also inside every A there is a div, and inside the div there is another div with the logo, and there is another div with the other company name, but I don't need those things. Yeah, all I want for now is maybe I will get here, I just want the URL.
And
Yeah,
and some companies, like especially social media companies, will
yeah,
hide this, right? Or try and make it murky intentionally.
exactly, yeah. So they're doing this as well here, because you see here this ID company IO39, this will change in 1 week. So I cannot rely on this variable dynamically generated ID. So we have in our CSS selector course, we will explain more, but I will do
Hmm.
it for today just to allow us to grab the data and keep our strategic bird view, yeah? Because you and me right now is better to keep the bird view on how we actually get the data, because this you can delegate to a developer. You know, as long as you know that there is a collection, a concept of collection, and you need to find the container that is the CSS collection of that container. So I'm going to try this A, which is this A element, but it's inside a div that has results as a class. So
Oh, so yeah, I had another question about this.
yes, please.
Um, is there a way to where you like enable or disable the CSS selector dropper and when, or is
Yes,
it just
no, we have to bring it back. We had it before, and we removed it when we did the update, and we will bring it back. But right now I am not using RTILA CSS selector, I'm using the browser CSS selector. Yeah. So let me show you what I'm doing here, just so that you see what's going on. So let's do this also. Div class, and here this div class has, sorry, this A has inside there is company. Okay. So let me explain what I'm doing here. Okay. Later you can improve your understanding of CSS selectors, but what I'm saying here is I am telling that there is a division in the HTML that has a class, and I use the star. The star, that means that the class contains. It contains results, because you see here this div, it has results, but here there is a dynamic ID, and here there is another dynamic ID, so I cannot rely on the full class. The only thing that I know will not change is results. So therefore I'm saying there is a div class that contains results. Inside of it, so if I use this next, inside of it there is an A element, and this A element has a class that contains company. Now I have created a unique path for every segment here. So that's essentially what I'm doing. I am telling it, you will go through every block like this, and these blocks, they are all, sorry, let me see if I'm doing this right. Let me observe a little bit more. Let's see if there is another place where we have the URL. We have the company name here. So it's called co-name. So it's always good to observe everything here. This is the fall, and this is the category. Okay. So it's even more complex than I expected. Okay, so let's try this. So also you have so let's say now we're going to test if the CSS collection is working, but we have identified the segment or the container. Now, is there a header row? There is no header row because the first company we want it. So sometimes you have, like in a table, you will have title and so on, and in that case you will say yes, skip header row, but there is no header row. And then for now, let's not deal with duplicates, we can deal with it later. What I want to test is that I want to see if what I have done first now, which is the collection, if it's working. And again, this is actually very complex, high complex, this website, more than what I remembered. Okay, let's try this first. See if I am able to field definitions, item name. So I'm gonna try something here. Sorry, I'm gonna do it and then explain to you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is source item URL. That's what I want to save now. Source item URL. So I'm gonna say here, I want to write into Directus, into an input kind of field, the how you call it, the field that I want to fill up is called source item URL, and then I use a pipe to separate with the value, and the value actually come from the CSS selector, and we have here the examples. So then you can put the CSS selector and then pipe the target attribute. So in our case, the element we're targeting is the A record, and then I want the href. So I will explain more, but I want to see first if I'm able to get this or not. Let's see. So it said it's inserted 22 items in Directus. You see here at the bottom. So let's double check if that worked, and then I will explain more. So if we go back to our database, and you see here, I got all the 22 companies saved in Directus. You see there are 22 of them, and we have their URL. So it's not the complete URL. but we know that in front of it it's ycombinator.com/companies. Yeah. So
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna capture the item name, and I'm gonna remove this. So let's clean up a bit your database schema to avoid confusion. Because we're using item name.
And you're the CSS course you were talking about. That's the school one. That's the one you meant, right?
Exactly,
One.
exactly, yes, exactly. So I'm hiding the field that we don't want to see. Okay, so I'm able now to capture the URL. What I want to capture is the company name, just to make it more user friendly. So if I go back now to RTILA and I go back to the inspection of the browser and I go back inside an element, you see here there is a span that has a class that contains co-name. You see here co-name? That will not change because this means company name. This will change. So
Hmm.
now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to target this element as an input as well. So it's input, and then the field name is called it's called item underscore name. Yeah. So
Hmm.
that's the field name, item underscore name, and then pipe, and I want to target the span that has a class, and then with the star it means contains, and then I remove everything that I know will be variable. So I'm targeting this substring of the class. So now I will get the company name and it should be saved into the directory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and delete our 22 just to avoid the duplicates, and then later on we work on the duplicates. So let's do it again now. Now we want to get company URL and company name and save both at the same time. Both fields for all 22 companies. So I run the command and I think it did the job. So if I go back to source listing
And
items, oh
and by the way,
yeah,
in case I have a question on the syntax, right?
yeah,
You there's a if I if I remember right,
yeah.
you guys trained an AI on the documentation, right?
Oh yes, yes, but we need to revamp it, and then indeed yes, you will be able to do that. So I'm
Yeah,
having a problem
that could be.
here. So we still have name and item name. It's not saving item underscore name. So I may have done an error. So I'm gonna copy it. I'm do a copy paste because we're saying input. Oh yeah, you see here I write intem. Ah, that's my dyslexia. So I'm gonna paste it. No mistakes. I go back and delete. Okay, let's delete this 22. Oh, Mog. Mog is calling. Okay, let's delete this 22. I will reply to Mog. All right, I do it again,
I need
Cyrus.
I need to talk to Mog.
Yes, he's such a
We
nice
we were
guy.
never able to set up a meeting. We
He
like kept
he
being
was
so
also
busy.
very busy. Yeah, no, I think now is a
Yeah.
good time. Okay, so let's run this command now. Again, we wrote 22. You see how fast it was, by the way? 22 items that go directly into your database without CSV files and stuff. So although it's complicated, but then now, oh, that's interesting. It put here. Oh, my bad, my bad, my bad. I'm making some more mistakes, beginner mistakes. So I'm not following our syntax, which is after the CSS selector, I still need to add a pipe and say that I want the inner text value. Inner. So if I do so here, examples, inner text. So it's inner text. The T is capital letter. So now I'm saying get me the inner text value, not just the class itself like this. So let's do it again, and I think now I will get it right. Yeah, I already deleted them. Let's now go through again. Okay, 22 item inserted, and let's look at our source listing items. Ah, finally, you see now we have company name, company URL from the pagination item. Yeah. Now there are few things we can do. Let's see if we have time. Do we still have a bit of time? 5:30. We started. How long? When did we start, Cyrus?
I think around 8:15,
So now is what
8:10
time
maybe.
for you?
I have time. It's 9:30, so I'm good. But
Okay,
um,
let's do another 15 minutes, and then we can do a pause and resume next week. Yeah.
yeah, I think there's been enough. I'll have some
Yes, but
some homework.
I want you to get at least the company data. So, let's say this is enough for now. We actually could do more, but now we have enough. So what we can do at the moment is that we can run the loop. Let's complete this loop. So we're getting Directus API, which means that for every pagination URL, we're getting the whatever number of companies, we're getting their listing URLs. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I'm going to delete this and we run this first level of our automation. So now we run it and we should get a few hundred of them. And also because now I saw it was pretty fast, I'm going to remove the waiting time. So Directus gets us the URLs, then we go to the URL. I think now we don't need to wait. As soon as the URL displays, we grab their companies. Now please observe at which speed it's going to go now that we have the right organization. If I run this, we have 11 pagination URLs coming from, we have 10 pagination URLs coming from Directus. Yeah, there they are, 10. And now it's going to go through the 10. Do you see it refreshing? Winter,
Yeah,
yeah, it did the first one, second one, okay, third one, winter. And now I'm hands off. I'm not touching the screen. I'm not touching my computer, so let's put the video here, hands off. And we can already look at the data because RTILA is pushing the data to Directus. So you see here in source listing, we have already 240. And this is where you,
that gets big really fast.
exactly, yeah, that's where you get back the benefit of this building because once you're set, you can do a million, because it's well organized. So now we went through all the 10 pages and we grabbed the 400 listing URLs of all these companies that we did, yeah? So now we have them, 400 of them. Let's now do the next step of our good practice is that once we have the source listing items, now let's scrape the data of every company and create an organization entry for them. Yeah. So let's remove this. Do you need this, or can I remove them?
No. Oh,
Okay.
actually, wait. What was that? That was.
I
Oh
think
yeah,
we
no,
put
you can get rid of
selectors.
that. I
Okay.
was just testing something. Yeah,
No problem.
that's
So let's now scrape. Now we're going to do the same step. We're going to go into each source listing item that has a draft. Oh, sorry. I should have done something because now these 11, they're not draft anymore. They're actually
right.
done status. So I'm going to do it manually, but I'm going to show you how to do it programmatically. Yeah. So programmatically, we will apply it to our next example. Let's go back to RTILA. And I'm going to copy the whole thing. So this was the first list. So this was like the first, how you call it? Now let's actually, another good practice is to split your automations into different steps. So this is step one. Step one was get pagination listing items. That's what we're doing with this project. Now let's clone this project, and this is now step 2. We call it step 2. Get organization data. So this is where we're going to scrape the actual organization data, and this is good because now we've done it once. We can reuse like those existing blocks and just change the endpoints because we're reading from a different table. So what we want to do now is not Directus API. Let's rename it. So we're going to do Directus get draft pagination item URL. So what we are doing now is that we're getting all these. We want this source item URL here that is draft, so that I can go to this listing on YCombinator and grab their data. So let's go and see what are the field names of these. So we are in source listing item here. So field name is item name and source item URL. So what I want is the source item URL. Okay. No, sorry. Let's do it in a proper way. When you're configuring a Directus command, the first thing you need to edit is the endpoint, yeah? So we're not reading from source pagination item now. We're reading from source listing item. So I'm going to copy this. This is my new endpoint. I'm going to communicate with this table. So now once I'm in this table, I am authenticating. This is good. I can collapse it. And now I'm going to look at status draft. That's correct. I'm only interested in those that have status draft. And what I want back is not called pagination URL, because on this table we use a different field name. So in source listing item we use source item URL. So this is what I want. I want the source item URL. Now here I just replace with source item URL, and this is going to get me the first 10, because we want 10, the first 10 that are draft from the table source listing items. That's what it's going to get me. So let's test this.
And there's like 400 in there right now, right?
Exactly. We could get the whole 400, or if I put -1, -1 means gets all results. So let's put -1 and look at the results. Yeah. So here, and let's run this command. You see, we get the 400 in like less than a second. You saw how fast it was, yeah? So this is the power of working with Directus, because if we had to do this with Google Sheet, it will take like a couple of seconds, sometimes 20 seconds or more. But this is like almost instant. So now I'm getting all these, and of course this is not the complete URL, but I can complete it inside my go-to URL. So using the same concept, now I'm going to feed this variable name to the list. So I changed this, is not Directus V03. I gave it a new name. So now this will contain the 400 sub URLs, yeah? And then the go-to URL will go to each URL, but the URL is not complete. I can add YCombinator in front, which is, I just need to add this. This is what is missing. So I say go to URL. This is static, HTTPS YCombinator. And then I think there is already the slash companies, so I don't need the slash at the end here. So it will be ycombinator.com and then slash that company thing, and now these together will create the correct URL. Yeah? So let's test this. Let's test this and see if we can navigate. So I don't need this command now, and let's just wait 5 seconds. We wait 5 seconds to see if we are indeed cycling through the listing URLs of every company. So let's run this second step. Let's go. Okay, let's look at the side here. Okay, we got the 400 records, so we have a loop of 400. This is company 1, Convexia, and then it should go to the next company, Pleom. So we are starting to have a complex scrapping being worked out professionally, and we now have the loop that goes through all the draft listing URLs. So now we can catch all this data in a very good way. So okay, I go back to RTILA, and it's better to stop a project from RTILA, otherwise it will bug it. So I stop it from here because there were 400 of them. So I shortcutted it, yeah? So let's now go and grab the data. So this loop now brings us to a single company listing URL. So for example, let's take DoorDash. Yeah. So now we are on DoorDash. I want to create a new entry in your database for DoorDash, where I'm going to put the title, the image, the description, and then grab the year it's founded, which batch, the team size. Wow, they have 8,600 employees. Wow, that grew up. And then we want the founders, yeah? So we want a lot of data from this page. So now, once we are inside the URL, we wait 5 seconds, and then again I'm going to use the Directus command, and this Directus command is going to read the data from this page and feed it into. So let me think the best way here. Um,
Okay, so again, this is initial gut reaction, right? So
yeah,
like the way I think about it initially, and then what you would actually do. So it seems to me like once you're at the pages, you would have to create a loop that would, and then like select the different fields you want to
yes,
store,
exactly, yeah.
and then do
Yeah,
the
so let me show you how to do that now, because now we really reached the place where the data is. So we finished the preparation. Now we need to actually start scraping. So if
but
you're not, yeah, sorry.
first we need to decide on how Directus wants the data formatted, right?
Exactly, yes. But there is a step before that in the learning. So if we were not using Directus, I could just use the inspection mode and then create a property and call it company name. Let me show you a way, because that could help you also to start off. And now you can use the RTILA CSS selector and just highlight the company name, and then you click again on what you do not want, and you see now
And
it's finding.
and that's always on, right? So like if you're
Yeah,
in
that's always
inspection
done.
mode,
Yeah.
I
To
actually like that better because before I couldn't get it. Like I kept having trouble with getting it on to begin with, which was kind of a pain. But
Yes, unfortunately it's blocked by certain websites. But if you want to get rid of the CSS tool, you just refresh the page. So when you refresh the page, it will disable the CSS tool, yeah, and then you click again here, and it should enable it again. You see now it's enabled again.
I
So
see. Okay.
we could do this way, which is click and point. I get the company name, and then I get the founded year. So let's get the founded year here, and I don't want this. So now, where is it? Is it getting? It's not getting the data. Let's call it founded year. Also, I can toggle here to get the names displayed. So it doesn't work always properly. So let's refresh to see if it's a refreshing problem. But sometimes it's not finding the right selector. Here,
Right.
it looks like it's finding it, but it's not able to pull the data. So I'm going to try something else. I'm going to try to catch this whole thing. And I don't want this. And now, we're still not able to get it. Okay, let's try something else. Let's try to get the URL of the website. So I'm going to do another one here, website URL. Let's see if this says selector is easier to catch. Oops, I clicked it. All right. Let's do it again. Website URL. I'm going to try to click just around the link, not the link itself. Yes, like this. So it's not catching it. I'm going to try another box, like this box. It's clicking the whole. So again, this is not the easy
Webs.
inspection is not working very well. So
Hmm.
I just wanted to show you that you could do it this way, and then it saves in CSV. But this is not the case for our automation. For our automation, let me see what's the best way here. Is that now we're going to create a new row of data, create new data. Okay, there is a semi-easy way. Yeah. So the semi-easy way, which is a very good practice, is that we create a folder. So we create a folder here. This folder, let's call it company variables or company data. Now, inside this folder, I'm going to use our experimental selector. So you search for selector exp or exp in the custom command. And here, this one has a trick actually to help you find the CSS selectors, even without the V8, with the V7. So let me show you, for example. Let's say I want to get the company name. Yeah? Are you still with me?
I am.
Okay, cool. So I want to get the company name, but I am not good at CSS selectors. So using the experimental selector, we have a mode that is called uh, locator finder, CSS locator finder. This can help you to find the CSS locator. Yeah. So you go into console here, and then what you do is that you enable it. You enable, and then you search the actual text. So you see here it's door dash. So I'm going to use here door dash, but you have to be explicitly the same, exactly how it's worked, how it's spelled. Yeah. And
Hmm.
now this command will find for you the best CSS locator to catch the company name, and it will give you the CSS selector, and then you can use it. You can use it inside here. Yeah. So I'm going to run it now, and when I run it and I look at the console, it's going to provide me with a couple of choices actually, if it can find them. Let's see. Did I do something wrong? DoorDash. Okay. So you saw it took a couple of seconds. It's because it went through the whole HTML and it analyzed the whole HTML. And you see here it tells you there are 7 matches, exact matches, but only 3 of them are unique. And you want to have the unique one. So it tells you that H1 can get you the company name. Or you can also use image. So you can use H1 with inner text, or image alt DoorDash, but then that's not good because DoorDash will change from the company name. Yeah.
Right.
So H1 is my best candidate. So what I do here now is that I can disable this, and then in my CSS selector I put the H1 because I know that H1 is going to get me the company name. Yeah. So now if I do Control L, and then when you disable the search mode, if I run again this command, it should give me DoorDash as a result. You see, now it's catching the name and only the name, DoorDash. Okay.
Very.
So
That is very cool, actually.
yeah, so this is like another good helper. So let's now duplicate it. Here I duplicate it, and now I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna catch the website URL, this one. Yeah. So let's call it website URL, and I'm not gonna use the RTILA CSS selector. I'm going to use first the finder. I enable the finder, and instead of DoorDash, I'm looking at HTTP this thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want. Sorry. I'm gonna refresh to get rid of the selector, and I'm gonna copy exactly this. I just copied the text here. So we're looking at which CSS selector contains this on the web page, and then it's going to give me the generic CSS locator. So now I run this command, and it says again you have 4, 2 of them are unique. So here this one is using DoorDash, which is not good, but this one is not using the company name. You see? So we have 2 ways, Cyrus. This one is actually quite good. I could use it, but what I can do is that when I use it here, to make it generic, you remove the attribute value. So I remove the whole value here. I just want this element, because this element is going to contain the URL. But actually, no.
Wouldn't that,
No,
yeah,
no,
that
no.
gives,
It
so,
gives 11 because there's 11 URLs.
but if you stored
Yeah.
oh wait, no, that wouldn't
No,
work.
this is the best one.
Yeah,
Is
the
the second one.
company URLs as a variable, then you could put it in, but
No, it will change. But this is actually, it find for us the second best. This is good because only one location has it, which is this one. And this now should give me the actual URL. Yeah. So now I disable my finder to test my actual CSS locator. So I do Control L here. So I go back and I'm going to test this. So let's run it and see. It should get me the URL doordash.com. Yes, we're getting it. And very important, we're getting only one result. So I
perfect.
got the website URL, and then let's do one more. But I think you got the concept, yeah?
Yeah.
Let's do one more. Let's get the company description here. Yeah. So for the company description, I'm gonna again duplicate this. Let's call it company description. And I'm not gonna use this. I'm gonna enable my finder again. And instead of DoorDash, I am going to refresh and copy. Let's copy just like to find a partial match. I will just copy like the first 2 lines. Let's see if it can find us something. So let's run this finder. Okay, it finds some stuff. It finds loose matches because it's not exactly the same content, because it finds more, but 4 of them are unique. So the first one that gives a unique is div data page. That looks good, div data page. We can try it. And then it tells you the target attribute is data page. You see here, data page?
Uh-huh.
So let me see here, data, no, wait, found one. Where is it? Here, loose match, unique loose matches. These are the unique loose matches. I'm going to use
Mhm.
div data. So let's use this one, div data. But the attribute is not inner text, is other attribute. And the attribute, it gives it to you here. You see, it tells you use this attribute, data page. So now I'm going to use data page. It only finds one in the page. Now I do Control L. I disable my finder. Disable this. And I run it again, and let's see if we can get the description CSS selector. So this looks like too much content. No, that's not correct. So it's not working. For this example, it's not working. So I'm going to try to get it manually. No, let's do something else. Yeah, if I look at it very quickly manually with the inspector, if I come to this block, I see there is here div pros full max, relative isolate, this class. Yes, so I would use this. This is the class. So actually you can just use this and put rectangle, rectangle bracket and the whole class. And inside this class, pros, pre-line. Yeah, this should work. Let's try. Did I disable?
And
Yeah.
so there's different variables you can use, but it just depends on which, like, the goal is to find the most resilient, the
Exactly,
one that's
that's the most difficult. So this is a little bit more difficult to find because let me see what's the problem here. It's a div, and then I said what? Oh no, I'm using the wrong attribute, inner text. So I need to use inner text. Okay, let's try this now. It's still saying empty value, so which is a bit weird. Oh, my mistake. Because I'm selecting it, you see, I'm highlighting it. It actually adds selector gadget into the class. So I put star so that it contains this, and now it's going to work. So I'm the one I was modifying. Yes, so now it works,
what
which
did you
means
change?
I just did a star here because I am highlighting it. So let me avoid the mistake. If I do this, I am not highlighting so the area, so I am not confusing the CSS because highlighting adds the CSS, add something to the class. So I
Oh, I
think
see.
now it should work. You see, it's highlighting it already. But once it's highlighted, then it loses it because it adds a selector gadget. So that's why I put star. Let me show you what I mean. You see here, you see this selector gadget?
Hmm.
This was added to the class to show that our tool is selecting this, but then it modifies the class itself. So it's a weird trick that we need to do. We just add a star. Uh, so that's what I did. But also it makes me realize that it may have been working before with this actually, with the founded, but you got the point, yeah? So
Mm.
let's do with these 3 variables because it will take time to get all the variables correctly. And again, this is not the most easy CSS selector built, yeah? So we will have to do it and get them all. So what do we have? We have 1, 2, we have 3 variables inside the company data folder. Now we want to push these 3 variables into the respective fields in your Directus, yeah? And now which table are we going to impact? We're going to impact the organization table. So let's now go and change the Directus command here. Let's call it Directus create or organization entry. Organization entry. Now we're starting to catch the data, yeah? So the URL, I will copy it. So let's, you know what, I want to be lazy. I'm gonna duplicate this and put it inside our list, and I rename it Directus create organization entry. The only thing I need to change now is the endpoint, yeah? So the endpoint is not source item URL, is organization. That's the table name. Credentials remain the same. I collapse this. So now instead of read data, we're going to create new data. And then you can say you can avoid duplicates. Let's for now leave it aside. And let's look at the syntax. So again, this is the syntax of us plus Directus. So the way like I did before, you do a hash input for the if it's an input type of field. If it's an image, you put image URL and so on. So we have all the main examples here, and then slash the CSS or slash the CSS selector slash attribute or slash a static value, which is what I'm going to do. Let's first get the fields that we want to populate in organization. In organization, we have name. Name is the company name. Yeah. So I'm going to copy this field name, and this field name is of input type. So I say input. I'm gonna write into an input type of field. The field name is called name, and the value is actually company name. So the value, you know, we have it as a variable. So now I can use this syntax. You know, the curly bracket syntax.
Right.
So I can dynamically send to Directus what the RTILA command grabbed from the web, which is the company name from this element. So I get that, I get the company name, and then I go next, I copy, I paste, and now the next thing I want is the website URL. So where are we storing the URL? The URL, we call it organization underscore URL. That's the field name. So I get the field name and I replace here. The field name is this, and then the variable name that will get us the URL is website URL, this command. Okay, I think you got the point. I'm going to do it for the third one. And the third one, I just copy this and I will change this to company description. That's what we're going to feed. We're going to feed the variable that is inside company description, and the description has a field in your database, and I think I'm not sure if we actually have a description in the table. Yeah, business description.
And what's the official name for this in like data stuff is like data normalization, right? When you have data from one spot and you're moving it to
Yeah.
another, and you need to have the fields match.
So this is where you match the position in the CSS to your database field. So you're basically doing harmonization once it's inside your database. So
Right.
we're doing exactly that. So let's. So this is what we're doing here, Cyrus. We're populating 3 input fields: the field called name, the field called organization underscore URL, and the field called business underscore description. And for every field, we're feeding a dynamic selector variable that got the data from the web page. So this is where RTILA gives you much more power, because other tools you will have to do it with the CSV and then import the CSV into Directus. But
Right.
here we do it on the fly, and it goes straight into your Directus. So now we have our loop. Our loop goes through the pagination URLs items that are draft, the source listing items that are draft. So you see here, this is not correct. This is get source listing draft URL. So we're getting this list. So I changed the name, so I need to change it inside the list. We're feeding it to the list here. The list will now have all the URLs of every listing. We go to every listing URL and we add YCombinator in front. Then once we are there, we're grabbing 1, 2, 3 variables, 1, 2, 3 variables, and we're sending it to Directus to save all the data for you in Directus. So let's now test this and see if we can start to have some data to reward our patience, your patience. Let's kick this
But you've
off.
been doing all the work.
Yes, but to pay attention, it also takes energy. All
Oh
right.
well, working really hard over here.
Yes. So, oh, I forgot. We are doing the all 400, but I will stop it. So, convexia. Let's wait a few seconds and see if it's
We could
correctly. Yeah.
we could probably just reduce it down to like 10 or
Now we
whatever.
can see it went fast. It already saved it in Directus. So let's see if there was an error. But now in organization, we have one, you see? So we don't need this field. So we have, this is, you see now it's appearing like live, but we have some issues. Instead of company name, we're getting more than a company name. So
Yeah.
we need to enhance. That means that the CSS selector is not enough, but we are getting the URL and the description. Where is it? And we're getting the description. Yeah. So it's starting to work. We now have 4 companies, but one of them, Convexia. So when this is very important. When this happens, that means that for some listings, the layout is different. We need to account for that layout. That means that for Convexia, we need to do different. Yeah. And
And for Pally, probably. Demo and Ask probably isn't part of the name.
which one? Oh, here also
The
Pali and demo. Yeah. So that will solve both. So remember Convexia. So I'm gonna stop the automation now, and we're going to correct this. So let's go back, open, and let's look at how the CSS locator is built in for Convexia. So if I go, let's search for Convexia. Convexia, here it is. So it was saving more than Convexia. It was saving, what was it saving? Convexia problem, our solutions. Okay, where is problem?
Are you using, what are you using
Control
to
F.
search?
Control F on the. I just want to see where it comes from, this problem, but I don't see it. So that's interesting. I think they're using a motto that is not appearing on the front end.
Because of course, right?
Yeah,
Because
because it has to
just
be more complicated than it
just
should
to
be.
make our life.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting, but we're gonna figure it out. So I'm gonna reopen the inspector here, and that's quite funny though. So here is Convexia, and that's a H1.
Compensation.
So I think there is more than one H1. That's what is the problem. You see here, if I go here, yeah, you see there are 5 H1s, and the other H1s, where are they? So there are 5 other H1s that we do not see. Maybe it's in the news or somewhere. So that means that we need to optimize. H1 is not enough. So let me show you the trick. The way to do it is that we need to put what is the container that is around this H1. So here, for example, it has font bold, and it's inside this, but it's inside this big thing. I'm looking at as a container. No, so that's not working. So it's inside this class space y3. So the trick to solve this is to say that rectangle rectangle, there is an element called space y3, and inside of this class element there is a h1, and now there is only one of them. So this will avoid catching whatever you see. It's even like invisible. I think it's in the source code. They have some stuff that they're not displaying on the front end. So now that I have corrected this, let's delete the first companies and verify that we are cleaning the data. So you understand now why I was telling you just do the first 10% and go through everything,
Oh well, yeah, yeah, yeah.
because
That makes sense.
this will show you the inconsistencies in a directory or a database. And if you scrape everything in one go, then you will acquire all those inconsistencies.
Right.
So now we have corrected it. We should get all our 3 data perfectly without extra data that we don't want. Okay, so now Convexia. Let's see, it's going to push it to Directus.
And the other thing that I think is like for me that I need to keep in mind is like we're doing 400 right now. So
Yeah,
10, you might think, well, is it worth it to do 40 or whatever, and then do all this manually? But like, you just add zeros to wherever it matters to
exactly.
you, right? Like if your size where it starts mattering is 100,000 or a million or whatever.
Exactly.
You just add zeros to fit, right?
And think about this. If you don't do it nicely now, you will have to correct the 100,000 or the million records after you acquire them, and that's humanly impossible. It's even harder.
Right.
Okay, so you see now we're getting all the company names without a single problem. Yeah, and you see here we are also harmonizing the data. We are removing commas, we're removing capital letters, because this will allow us to compare companies among different databases, because they may use cap letter on the first letter but not on the second. So this is our harmonization rule that is built in RTILA.
Oh, so okay. I was gonna ask, did you specify that somewhere and I missed it, or does that just
Yes, it
happen?
was in one of our AIA session. I presented our harmonization rules where we replace the comma by double by semicolon and semicolon by double semicolon. We put everything in small letters.
Right,
Uh,
right. Right. I mean, like in the project, did you specify that anywhere, or is that just something that
no, it is
Rotilla does by
inside
default?
RTILA command. RTILA command is doing it for you.
Very cool. Good.
So as long as you're using RTILA command, it will do it properly. But if you're using another system, just you have to come. If you want to compare now this company name in another system, you need to do it in a case unsensitive way, because we
Yeah.
remove the case. Yeah. So look at the speed now. We are we already got the 400. Sorry, here in organization. Sorry, we got 13 now. So it's going now one by one. Yeah. And you see here we don't have any problem. And what I was telling you is not happening right now because we didn't harmonize here. Yeah. So we need to add the harmonization to the single command. I will correct this. But we're getting Convexia. You see Convexia now doesn't have
Hmm.
the extra H ones. So we're getting Convexia, their website URL, and their description. And once you have this consistently for the first, let's say, whatever, 15, then you go and grab the remaining data, because now you know that you have the loop and that you have corrected most of the issues. Yeah. So let's
Yeah.
stop this for
And
now.
then
Yeah.
and then you get a coffee.
Yeah. Then you get a coffee, and then you come back and you just complete. Now it's just a matter of variables, of getting all the other variables. So now after the coffee, I would come back in company data folder, and I just keep adding all the stuff I want: the founded year, the batch, the public, the status, and then later on we will do the founders in the second step, because
Right.
this is many to one relationship, or many to many,
Right.
because a founder could be involved in multiple startups. But you have
Oh
now
yeah,
today.
that gets tricky for me. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, but you have three levels, right? So there's the Rotilla CSS selector
yeah,
dropper, and ideally, in a perfect world, you could just select it and then it'd be done. But of
that's right.
course, that doesn't always work. So then you can use the what was it called?
It's called
The
the
select,
Selector Experimental, and then it has
yeah,
this tool we added, which is called CSS Locator
perfect
Finder.
neutron,
Yeah,
right?
you enable
Um,
it, and then you can search with the text value.
right.
Yeah,
And if all else fails, you can go into the code manually with
exactly.
inspect
Yeah,
console
but as a
or
business
inspect.
person, you know what you can do is you just create. You just use you try it out. You create all the fields. So let's say now I want a founded year. So I call it founded year, and now it has 2013. But you see, 2013 is used in many places. So let's give it a try. Founded year, I enable the finder, and then I put 2013. Let's see if I can find a unique result. If not, I will show you how you prepare your automation so that somebody else can finish it for you very fast. So let's see if I can find it myself. So it says one of them has a unique, it's ID equal news, which is weird because I don't want the news. Yeah, the news also, some news have 2013. But here you have non-unique matches, loose matches, unique loose matches. Here, unique loose matches, ID news, that's not good. Div data page, class no wrap, name description. Yeah, so this is. Let's see if there is anything that makes sense here. Unique. loose matches, non-unique, exact matches. Yeah, and yeah. So there is only one, but it's not ideal. It says ID news. So let's. I will try this. We never know. So I will disable the finder and try this. So it's not working because it's getting the news, but it's okay. You leave it empty like this, yeah, and you just create your variables, and then you send it to us or you send it to someone. For example, here batch name and then team size. See, I just continue. You create all your stuff here, even if you can't
Mhm.
find the selectors. This is very good because then you can send this project to someone and he can finish it for you in like half an hour because you've done 90%. So it will cost you much less to finish it, even if you have to give it to a developer.
Right.
Yeah.
And also one other thing,
Hmm.
there's a whole bunch of templates, right? Which are
Yes.
like building blocks that are
Yes.
usable. I've never actually used one of those in a project.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to, yeah, um, yeah. So if I wanted to use one of those, how would I do it?
So the templates they are designed for a specific website. So if you're gonna scrape that website, that then the template will help you. But you cannot use a template for another website like here. For
Right.
Y Combinator.
So okay, so that also means though that if I build an automation for like YC, right?
Yeah.
With this, after I'm done with it, I can just like give it to other people.
Exactly. You can list it in the marketplace, even charge for it, or you can list it for free and you can provide it as a template. That's the idea of our marketplace. We can add free or paid templates because you've been through the hassle, yeah?
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
Yes. And actually this we can offer it as a template once we finish this together. People can watch the video and then they will have the template and then they can look at the template and maybe correct themselves or those who don't want to go through the whole building process, they can just use the template and then run it for themselves.
For sure, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, that'd
But
be nice.
this is quite complex. I hope it's going to provide you first steps. But the good thing with videos is that we can watch them again and until we get it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely.
So I will share this in the video. I will share this first project so that whoever wants to experience this, including you, Cyrus, you can play around with it. I will just remove your API key. I will change, or you can change it in your instance so that
Yeah,
people can change it with their own directors. Yeah,
yeah.
cool. So I think we need to call it off for today.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's been good. It's
yeah,
been very good. I think there's a lot of foundational concepts in this, and it was a
eg-
bit like a bit of some
indeed.
workaround,
Yeah,
but I think it was
there were
yeah,
more foundational concepts than I could remember. So
yeah,
we could have taken another example like books to scrape,
yeah.
but in one hand also it allowed us to cover those and get your questions to clarify it.
Yeah, the other thing is, I think one of the things I've always liked about the way you approach learning materials is you kind of just like you do it and live, so you'll figure it out on the fly, and I've appreciated that because it like shows me that it's not that I need to know everything from the jump, and that there's like this massive um, skill or knowledge deficiency. It's like part of it is you just have to figure it out along the way, right?
Exactly.
Because
Yeah. I think at least half of it is specific to the website that you want to tackle. You see, all the stuff that we've been encountering as a difficulty is because the way that they've built this directory and the pages. So it's like 50-50. 50 of it is from the website and its observation. You need to observe.
but it's a good I don't know. I mean, I think that it's better to like get started with things that do that from the jump, because then if you like try and go scrape Facebook or something, and then they come up with all sorts of ways to keep you from doing it, and
Yeah.
you're not as surprised by it. It doesn't go from easy to super hard. It's like, okay, I've seen this before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we could also at one point do something more simple with like books to scrape. This is high complexity but low change frequency. Social media is high complexity plus high frequency of change of the layout and the CSS selectors. So that's why social media is more difficult
Right.
because they will obfuscate and they will change things and they don't want us to scrape. Yeah,
But like Google Maps or other directories, I mean,
they're pretty
a
they're
lot of
pretty
a lot of them
lenient.
stay the same.
Google Maps are pretty lenient. They let you, unless you really go like very hardcore too fast, but they let you scrape quite well. But they change the
Yeah,
content. You're right. They change the layout quite often. Google on all their tools.
yeah,
So let's then do next week. Next step. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Excellent,
Um,
Cyrus. Anything that I may have not covered or any question maybe on today activity?
nope. I think I'll probably rewatch the recording for sure.
Yes,
But
and
no,
I'll send you, and we will list the template as well. We can call it session one of Startup Directory of YCombinator.
absolutely, absolutely.
Cool, Cyrus. So see you probably next Thursday in the AIA meeting. If not, our
Yeah,
next Saturday.
yeah, I will try and make. I keep missing them though. I keep like getting busy right when But anyways,
But
yeah.
your AI note taker is there.
Really, I thought I got rid of them.
I think I
Shoot,
saw it.
I've thought for sure I had gotten rid of
You can
all
watch
of them.
if you watch the video. I think we see at one point Cyrus note taker. Hey guys, I noticed something, or it was like spamming us a bit.
That's crazy. I swear I got rid of like three of them. I know I got like I remember going in and dealing, but okay,
Yeah,
I'll
I may
see
be
which
wrong, but I
cause some
thought it was
trouble then.
yours.
Yeah.
Cool. So
Okay. So
Cyrus,
actually, I do have a question about
yes,
something,
please.
but
Yeah,
I don't know if the recording's still going. It's not really
the
related.
recording is going. Do you want it to be off recording?
Yeah. I mean, it's not really related to that.
Yeah,
Um,
sure. So let's close this session so that I can upload as is, and then we will do the follow up next week. And for whoever is watching, you can download the template and you can try it yourself with this level one of this automation. So
Perfect.
so we catch up in 1 week for this.
Absolutely.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
Sounds good.
And now I can't remember where is the stop recording. Ah, it's here. All right.